So, one question that you get from a lot of rookies and that you just get from a lot of people that maybe don't drive flatbed is, what are some reasons why someone wouldn't want to drive flatbed? Well, because you have days like today, And before you fucking trolls start jumping all over my shit with your bullshit, this isn't, I'm not trying to bitch and complain about the day I've had. Maybe I am, but look, I'm just talking about some of the pitfalls of this fucking job, So before you're like, if you can't, you can't fucking handle it, then fucking why you do it, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's like any other fucking job. It has its shitty days, all right? I'm just gonna talk about one shitty day in particular, doing this particular job, so that someone who maybe wants to get into flatbed is curious about it or whatever the fuck, they can have an idea what they're getting themselves into. And for everybody else, you can just watch for the fuck of it, So, before I start, fuck you, all right? So, I woke up early this morning before the sun came up, probably like 4:30 in the morning. Start my day in Ohio, and it was cold. I don't know if it's been hovering around freezing in these Midwest, Ohio, Indiana areas and shit. But it's raining balls all day long. It's probably supposed to rain balls for I think a couple days. I have to double check, but I saw this weather coming, and I knew it was probably going to be a pain in the ass, and sure enough, it was. It was actually a lot more of a pain in the ass than I thought it was going to be. Because, like, I came out of Ohio, and I think the temperature was around freezing, but the roads weren't frozen, and I was making good time through Ohio, and I was on secondary roads, too, like, jumping on and off the interstates, but the direction that I was going, I was using a lot of state highways and U.S. highways and shit like that, and they were still pretty well taken care of, even with some of the rain, some of the slush and ice on the roads and shit like that, Ohio, the roads were fairly clear, So then I get into Indiana, and I'm coming down a highway, and I go through a small town, and when I come out the other side of this town, traffic comes to a stop, right? And so, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's a train. Or I don't see a train or any signals. I know it's backed up for a while down this highway. So I get on the radio and I start listening to what guys are talking. It's a good reason to have a radio is find out what the fuck's going on. That's usually when I turn my radio up and I start listening in and talking to other drivers to find out what the fuck's up. And apparently, like, this highway, like this 10, 20, 30 mile stretch of highway, just from what I heard, like, had not been salted that morning or some shit like that. Some guy said he had talked to somebody and they told him that like somebody fucked up, the state fucked up and didn't salt the highway that day or something like that. So it was very icy. So there was a hill up ahead, and a big truck going up the hill lost it and put it in the ditch. So we're all stuck, and I guess this had the highway fucked up, so they shut down DOT shut down the highway or something like that. So the state sends out a salt truck, and the salt truck's going, it's a 2-lane highway. Salt truck bypasses all of us stuck in the right lane and heads up the left side going the wrong way to go all the way up to the front and start salting the road, so like maybe we could start getting by, right? Well, this guy gets to, and I can't see the front of the line because it's a couple miles down, but I'm talking to some of the guys on the radio that can see, and apparently this salt truck goes all the way up there and starts salting the road, and it loses it and fucking slides into the ditch. So it just turns into this big clusterfuck, and I'm talking to a couple of the guys that said, like, I'd been there for about 10-15 minutes, and I was talking to a guy that said he'd been there. A couple different guys said they've been there sitting for over an hour waiting. You know, and so I took my 30-minute break sitting there, and I made a sandwich, and you know, I ate my lunch, and I was just listening to guys on the radio and talking and shit. And you know, I think maybe an hour and a half goes by, and enough of the four-wheelers had popped a U-turn and gone back, so that we were kind of slowly inching up, you know. And with that space, there was a parking lot to a car wash that was big enough to turn around. So I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Turned around in the lot and went back the other way, jumped on another highway, and fucking, you know, hauled ass to where I needed to be. It's just fucking stupid, you know? Just the state, you know, you had like 2 fucking state pickup trucks out there, and they brought wreckers in to unfuck the salt truck, and then they had 2 more salt trucks come in, and they're down there, they're slipping and sliding all over the road, and they're trying to get this bitch salted because they fucked up and didn't do it in the morning before it started raining hard. And it's just a big fuck around, you know. But you know, what does that have to do with hauling flatbed? Nothing. That's just trucking right there. That's kind of the kind of shit you got to deal with, even if you're, no matter what you haul, fucking driver in or whatever. But it kind of, you know, sets the tone for the rest of the fucking day. So I get up to this place in Indiana where I need to deliver. It's lumber load, and by the time I get there, it's raining balls. It's about 35, 40 degrees outside, so it's fairly chilly, you know. And so I already know how it's gonna be, you know. I'm gonna be soaking fucking wet. All the equipment's gonna be soaking fucking wet, you know. So I mean, like, I keep a rain jacket with me, but you know, I didn't even wear it today because I knew like I was gonna get wet anyway, you know. So I just wore my hoodie, you know. That's why, like, I've got multiple pairs of gloves. I got a light jacket and a heavy jacket, you know. I got two beanies, you know, that I keep. I got a light beanie and I got a thicker Carhartt one. You know, it's good to have that redundancy, because when you're out in the fucking pouring rain, and one jacket gets soaked, and your beanie gets soaked, and your fucking socks and your shoe. I got 2 pairs of tennis shoes and a pair of steel-toed boots. So if I soak 1 pair of shoes and socks, and I soak 1 pair of gloves, beanie, and a jacket, I've got spares. I've got extras that I can put on for later in the day. So I'm not freezing my ass off, and I'm just soaking wet all damn day, you know, with all my warm clothes. You know, you don't have to keep all that shit. I've just kind of acquired it over time, but you get days like today where it's just pouring down fucking rain all day, you know. So I get to this place, a little Amish lumber, not a lumber mill, but an Amish wood shop, you know. And I said, all right, let's take down my equipment. And you know, I take down all my bungees. It's double lumber tarp load, and with like 10 straps or whatever the fuck. In the wind's blowing balls. It's the tarps are soaking wet. So I get the tarps down. Every gallon of water, a gallon of water is 10 pounds. So, and it ain't, once you get those tarps onto the ground, the outside of them's wet, the underside of them's halfway wet. Once you get them on the ground, they're completely fucking saturated. And it doesn't take nothing for those tarps to pick up 10, 15 gallons of water. You wouldn't think so, because they're just flat tarps, right? Well, if you were to wring out those tarps and wring out every fucking drop of water, you could probably get about 10 gallons of water off that. You're talking about a 26 by 28 foot tarp. Yeah, you get about 10. That 10 gallons of water adds 100 pounds to the motherfucker. You know, it's that much heavier. And not to mention the wind's blowing and it's cold. So, you know, like I stopped wearing like cloth gloves. If you're wearing those mechanics and shit like that, firm grips, whatever you wear. Yeah, I stopped wearing those a long time ago because I was going through a pair every fucking week or two, and I was just wasting my money. So I only wear grain cowhide leather gloves now, because I can at least get about a month to 6 weeks out of them. Because I go through gloves like nothing. I wear them the fuck out. But, you know, your gloves are going to be soaking no matter what. You know, I mean, I got some weatherproof gloves, but they're really for snow and ice. They're not really for rain, and they're insulated. And it takes a long time for them to dry, so I try not to use them unless I'm dealing with snow and ice. But, so, you know, the leather gets soaked, it gets loose, and they get heavy and droopy, you know, and I got to keep pulling them up because they absorb a shitload of water. That cowhide absorbs all the water. So rolling up the tarps is a pain in the fucking dick. You know, rolling them up, they're full of water. You know, and every time I get it neatly pulled out and start folding, the wind blows half of it over. So I got to go straighten it back out and shit like that. Meanwhile, the wind's blowing, pouring down rain. I'm getting fucking soaking wet, you know, and you know, your shoes are getting wet, your socks are getting wet, everything's fucking getting wet. You're just getting soaked, you know. So, but I finally get the tarps folded up. They're heavy as a motherfucker, you know. And then, you know, from kneeling down and stuff like that, the bottoms of my pants, my jeans, and my cotton thermals that I wear, from the knees down are soaking wet. From my knees to my shoes are completely wet, you know, from kneeling down and stuff like that. You know, and then I roll up all my straps. All my straps are soaking fucking wet, you know, and I get all my equipment put away, you know, and then I'm like, fuck, all right, you know. It's days like today that make me wish I'd gone drive-in, you know. There's not a whole lot of them, but every so often you get a day like today, you know. So I get my next load. Like, they gave me the pre-plan, and then I'm sitting there waiting for them to pass me down the load assignment. You know, pre-plan's an hour away, and like it takes me about an hour, and like I send a message, and I'm like, so you want me to head in this direction, or am I getting this load, or what are we doing, you know? It's an hour and a half away. I don't want to just drive an hour and a half if I'm not going to get that load. And I hate it when they do this shit, but then right when you send the message is when they load you with the fucking load assignment. It's like, man, you guys forgot to fucking load me with the load assignment. Sometimes that will happen. It happened to both companies I've worked for. You know, so they'll give you this pre-plan, and you'll get unloaded, and you'll sit for a while, and you're like, am I getting this fucking load? And they're like, yeah, head this direction. And they send it down. It's like, God damn it. You know, come on, stay on the ball here. It cost me a fucking hour. So, wind's blowing its ass off. You know, the rain's kind of let up. The temperature's gone up a bit. But, you know, I get to this place, and I've never hauled this shit before, but I just know it's going to be what I call a nightmare load. It's just going to be a pain in the dick from start to finish. It's called mineral wool. It's kind of like synthetic wool. It's like insulation, basically. It's wool insulation. Well, this is the kind of stuff that it's going up to Certainty to the ceiling tile factory in northern Michigan. It's the insulating material they make ceiling tiles out of. It's a raw material of ceiling tiles. And they give it to you in big, they give it to you in bales. They have like wires wrapped around them. They look like fucking bales of regular wool. They look like bales of cotton, basically. If you've ever seen bales of cotton, it's exactly what they look like, but they're softer. You know, like you could poke holes in it with your finger, it's so soft. So, you know, strapping it's gonna be kind of a pain in the dick. It's one of those loads where you strap it too much, it'll just chew right down through the fucking material, and you can never get the straps all that tight. You just got to get them tight enough. It's one of those fucking loads, you know. So I mean, and this is the kind of place where you drop your trailer inside, then they load you, and then you go inside and you strap it and you fucking tarp it. So with all my equipment being soaked from earlier, I'm going to be pulling out my lumber tarp, my soaking wet lumber tarps, and all my wet straps and shit like that. I mean, I'm going to get to tarp and secure inside the warehouse, but, you know, the way it sits right now, there's another guy in front of me who, his trailer is inside the warehouse right now, and I think they just finished loading him. I haven't seen him get out of his truck. I don't know if he is paying attention to what's going on. I might walk over there I'll walk over there when I've done this video and find out, but when they're done loading you, you're supposed to go in there and tarp and secure your shit. So I got an hour and 58 minutes. I got 2 hours left on the clock. I gotta wait for him to strap and secure and tarp his fucking load. And if he's a rookie or he's just a slow moving motherfucker, it could take him 2.5 hours to fucking tarp and secure this load. In which I'll probably be in there fucking helping him do his load so I can get in and fucking get my load, right? So let's say he's Speedy Gonzalez, he gets it knocked out in an hour. Then I got an hour left on the clock. I'll drop my trailer in there. Probably I'd say maybe 30 minutes to load, unless I hit a fucking break or a shift change. Then it could be an hour and a fucking half, especially if the shift changes and then they got to do a fucking safety meeting or some bullshit, which is known to happen. You get stuck on a shift change, you know. These motherfuckers, or a fucking dinner break, the motherfuckers are all hanging out, smoking cigarettes, fucking off. You know, hey, I mean, look, I guess, you know, they should get breaks, but you know, they want, if they got one more pallet, one more bundle to put on the back of that trailer, but it's break time, you're gonna have to wait 15-30 minutes for that fucking last bundle to go on. You know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes they'll say, oh, you gotta wait for the shift change. You're missing one pallet, one bundle. You know, but it's like, hey, it's quitting time. So you gotta wait 30 minutes to an hour for the next motherfucker to put that last bundle on. But anyways, you know, I'd say, you know, I'm probably gonna be out of time by the time I'm ready to start tarping and securing. Which means I'm fucking sleeping here. You know? So, which, once again, is good. You know, I've got food and drink on the truck, so I'm good there. But, you know, like, the place I took my reset at this weekend didn't have a laundry facility. And, you know, I've gone 2 weeks without doing laundry, and I'm fucking running out of, I basically run out of clean clothes, damn near. As far as pants, and I'm running out of shirts and shit. You know, running out of socks. You know, I need to do fucking laundry. I probably ain't gonna get it done tonight, and what really pisses me off is I don't know if this shit has fiberglass in it or not. If it does have fiberglass in it, and I get that all over my clothes and all over my arms and whatever the fuck, and I can't take a shower tonight, you know, fuck. It means I might be getting fiberglass in a fucking bed. You know? To which, right now, I'm sitting in a yard full of van trailers. If I was a fucking van driver, I wouldn't have to deal with none of this shit. Worst comes to worst, even if I was running out of time here, look, they got one fucking bay that loads flatbeds. They got 6 to 8 bays that loads the dry vans, right? So, if I was a dry van, most likely I could just dock and fucking, I'd probably be able to fucking just hang out and get loaded. You know, a lot of the shit that I'm talking about, driving, you gotta fucking deal with. You know, see, I'm fucking already dirty, and I got wet clothes hanging from hangers in the back and shit like that. You know, if I was driving, I'd probably be picking up a preloaded trailer. I'd already be on the road by now. You know, but since I'm flatbed, I gotta wait for this fucking joker to tarp and secure his shit. Then I gotta get loaded and tarp and secure my fucking shit. You know, which, yes, I mean, there are some places that do preload fucking flatbeds and shit, but they're a lot more few and far between than places that, you know, preloading a van trailer ain't shit. You load the motherfucker, slam the doors, and have the yard jockey dump it in the yard somewhere. You know, a load like this can't be left in the weather, so if you're gonna preload it, you gotta have a tarp and secure fucking crew. You gotta have guys that'll do that shit, and that costs money, and it's a shitty fucking job, and no one wants to do it. So they let the drivers do it. So there's a lot of places that'll preload these fucking van trailers and, you know, containers and shit, but they won't preload flatbed trailers. That's how it goes, you know. We do not do a whole lot of, like, this company does some flatbed drop and hook, some. And even if you pick up a drop and hook with flatbed, you may still, the tarping could be fucked up. Damn it. This fucking guy's trying to back in over here. There's nowhere for me to park in this yard where I can see the goddamn bay. I need to be able to see the bay so I know when this motherfucker is leaving. So I'm parked over here. I don't know how much fucking room this guy really needs. There. You can't make it with that, then you need to learn how to fucking back. Let's see if he gets it there. You know, there's other spots that motherfucker could have dropped his trailer. But anyways, That's an example of some of the shit you got to deal with flatbed. You know, sometimes you will be going to, you know, like I was trying to say earlier, I don't know if I said this, if I was dry van, you know, even if I got stuck here and I had to sleep here, I wouldn't be crawling into bed fucking dirty as fuck, covered in dirt and sweat and insulation. You know, I would have been hanging out in a climate-controlled AC, fucking around watching YouTube videos, you know, or whatever. But you know, I may have to do that here. Some nights you're gonna have to go to bed, lay in your bed, dirty as a motherfucker, with dirty ass sheets, you know. Or maybe you could lay on top of the sheets if you want. But you know, this can be a dirty fucking job. You know, it's hard to like. I'll vacuum the floors, but I haven't cleaned the floors, like clean the dirt and stuff off the floors in a while, just because of all this wet weather and this. You track all this snow, salt, and shit in all the time. The floors never stay fucking clean. You know, so if you're the kind of person who wants a spick and span fucking immaculate truck, don't get into flatbed. You know, this fucking truck gets dusty as a motherfucker. You know, but so yeah, I mean, fucking shit sucked. I mean, I think it's gonna rain and snow, and the weather's just gonna continue to be shitty. I mean, good thing. I mean, tomorrow I think I'll get a reprieve, because once I get up there to Michigan, this should just be a drop and load fucking deal. I'll drop this trailer and pick up an empty, and I'll probably be picking up a preloaded of ceiling tiles going somewhere else. That's what I hauled through Canada, is that from that certainty in northern Michigan. So maybe they'll give me another one going up to Canada or something. I don't know. I'll take it. Fuck it. You know. But anyway, that's it. That's the end of this fucking video. I'll talk to you guys later.